Emma stood in the cold autumn wind, her thin coat barely protecting her from the chill. She held her little daughter, Lily, close to her chest while kneeling beside a gravestone that had become her only place of comfort. Life had been cruel to her, too cruel for someone who already carried the heavy weight of poverty, loneliness, and single motherhood. Every week she came to this grave, whispering the same words to the stone, "I wish things were different. I wish you were here." She wasn't talking to a husband. She wasn't talking to a family member. She was talking to a stranger, someone buried long before she ever arrived in this town. She chose this grave simply because it was peaceful, neglected, and forgotten, just like she felt in her own life. Lily wrapped her small arms around her mother's neck and whispered, "Mommy, don't cry." Emma forced a fragile smile. "I'm okay, sweetheart." But she wasn't. Rent was overdue. She had no job. No support. No family. The world had drained every piece of strength from her, yet she still came here to release her sorrow where no one could judge her. Or so she thought. Today, she didn't know she was being watched. A tall, well-dressed man stood a short distance away, holding a bouquet of fresh white flowers. His jaw tightened as he saw the woman and the child kneeling at the grave he had been visiting for years. His breath trembled. That grave wasn't empty. That grave wasn't forgotten. It belonged to his late wife. And the sight of a stranger crying there left him frozen in confusion and pain. The man slowly approached, each step heavy with a mixture of curiosity and emotional shock. Emma sensed a presence behind her and quickly wiped her tears, embarrassed to be seen. She lifted her head and found the man standing there, his eyes locked on the gravestone. She immediately stood up, clutching Lily tightly. I'm sorry," she said quickly. "We'll leave. We didn't mean to disturb anything." The man shook his head gently. "No, it's just," his voice cracked, "that's my wife's grave." Emma froze. Her heart dropped to her stomach. She felt ashamed, guilty, and terrified all at once. I am so sorry," she whispered again. "I didn't know. I wasn't trying to disrespect her." The man studied her trembling hands, the child hiding behind her skirt, the exhaustion written on her face. She didn't look like someone who would disrespect anything. She looked like someone who had been broken over and over. "It's okay," he said softly. "I just wasn't expecting anyone else here." Emma lowered her head. "My daughter and we come here because it feels peaceful. I didn't know this grave meant something to someone." He sighed, the aching memory of his wife pressing against his chest. "It means everything to me," he murmured. "She passed 3 years ago. I come every week." Emma swallowed hard, fighting tears. "I'm truly sorry. We'll go." She turned to walk away, but Lily suddenly looked at the man and said innocently, "Mommy cries here because she's sad. She says the lady here must be kind because she listens." Emma's face burned with embarrassment. But the man's expression softened. He knelt down to Lily's level. "Your mommy is right," he said gently. "My wife was kind. The kindest person I ever met." Emma looked at him, surprised by the warmth in his voice. He stood up again, offering a small smile. "You don't have to leave." She shook her head. "I don't want to intrude." "You aren't," he said firmly. "Maybe, this place helped me for years. Maybe it can help you too." Over the next weeks, their paths continued to cross. The man, whose name was Ethan, began visiting the grave at the same time Emma did. Sometimes they exchanged small nods. Sometimes quiet conversations. Sometimes tears. Emma learned that Ethan was wealthy, far wealthier than anyone she had ever met. But she also learned that he was lonely, grieving, and carrying guilt he had never spoken about. Ethan learned that Emma was not just poor. She was abandoned by her family, betrayed by Lily's father, and left to survive with nothing. He watched her walk miles with her daughter because she couldn't afford transport. He noticed Lily's worn-out shoes and Emma's thin, patched clothes. Yet, despite her struggles, she never begged, never complained. She just endured. One cold morning, he found Emma and Lily shivering by the grave, their faces pale from hunger. Without hesitation, he removed his coat and wrapped it around them. "You don't have to suffer alone," he said gently. Emma broke down, years of suppressed emotion flooding out. "I have nothing," she whispered. "Nothing to offer anyone. And I don't want charity." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering help. Because my wife would never forgive me if I walked away from someone who needs it." His words hit her heart with unexpected warmth. Slowly, Ethan began supporting her. First with food, then with helping her find a job, then ensuring Lily got proper care. Emma tried to refuse several times, but his sincerity was impossible to reject. As weeks became months, the grave that once held only sorrow began to hold something new: connection, healing, and the gentle spark of hope. Emma eventually found the courage to smile again. Lily began calling Ethan her friend. And Ethan, in quiet moments, wondered if fate had brought Emma and Lily to his wife's grave so he would learn to live again. One evening, as autumn leaves danced around them, Ethan placed fresh flowers on his wife's grave and whispered, "Thank you.